Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Vanachari Jaya Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasoda Nandana Rajajana Ranjana Yasoda Nandana Rajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiyara Vanachari Yamuna Tiyara Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasoda Nandana Rajajana Ranjana Yasoda Nandana Rajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiyara Vanachari Yamuna Tiyara Vanachari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Paribhajjakacharya Astatara Siddha Sri Sriman His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Paribhajjakacharya Astatara Siddha Sri Sriman His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada Ki, Ananta Gaudiya Vaishnavinda Ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki, Prem Shikoho Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki, Krishna Balaram Ki, Radhasham Mukunda Ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Hare Krishna. We are going to pick a verse today from the Srimad Bhagavatam, and it was decided we would use the 10th canto, 90th chapter, 21st verse, through the 23rd. So I may make some trick questions in here, so pay attention. And I will start this out. Sometimes it starts this way, and sometimes they don't. And I'll tell you what I'm doing that's a little different than some do it, and why. We will read each word of the verse, and then we will go back and read the verses together. I noticed that Srila Prabhupada used to do this, and I hear it in classes, and it makes it easier when we first do each word, then we go back and do the verse, then each word is translated, then we do the translation and the purport, and then we will give some auxiliary points to help understand this. First, we will start with the invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we have verse 21 up there that begins with Priya. Oh good, that's dear. Priya Rava Padani Bashase Mrita Samjivakyanaya Gira Karavani Kim Ajab Te Priyam Vada Me Valgita Kanta Kokila Priya Rava Padani Bashase Mritu Samjivikayanaya Gira Karavani Kim Ajate Priyam Vadame Valgita Kanta Kokila Priya Rava Padani Bashase Mritu Samjivikan Yanyaya Gira Karavani Kim Ajate Priyam Vadame Valgita Kanta Kokila Priya Rava Padani Bashase Mritu Sam Jivikan Yainaya Gira Karvane Kim Ajate Priyam Vadame Valgita Kanta Kokila. Repeat. Vaishnavis? Word for word. Priya, dear. Rava, of him whose sounds. Padani, the vibrations. Vashase, you are uttering. Mrita, the dead. Samjivikaya, which brings back to life. Anaya, in this. Gira, voice. Karavani, I should do. Kim, what? Ajab, today. Te, for you. Priyam, pleasing. Vada, please tell me. Me, me. Valgita, sweetened by these sounds. Kanta, O you whose throat. Kokila, O cuckoo. Translation, O sweet-throated cuckoo. Go ahead, yes? In a voice that could revive the dead. You are vibrating the same sounds we once heard from our beloved, the most pleasing of speakers. Please tell me what I can do today to please you. Purport by the followers of Srila Prabhupada. As Vishwanath Chakravarti explains that the song of the cuckoo is very pleasant, Lord Krishna's wives perceive it as painful because it reminds them of their beloved Krishna and exasperates their pain of separation. The next two verses I will just read. Nachalasi navadasi udara bude kshtidara chintayase mahatan artham api bata vasudeva nandanagirim vayam eva kamayase stanir vibartum. Nachalase, you do not move. Navadasi, you do not speak. Udara, magnanimous. Bude, whose intelligence? Shitidara, O mountain. Chintayase, you are thinking. Mahantam, great. Artham, about a matter. Apibata, perhaps. Vasudeva Nandana, of the darling son of Vasudeva. Angirim, the feet. Vayam, we. Eva, just as. Kamayase, you desire. Stanai, on your breast. Peaks. Vidartum, to hold. Translation, O magnanimous mountain, you neither move nor speak. You must be pondering some matter of great importance. Or do you desire like us? Desire to hold on your breasts the feet of Vasudeva's darling son. Purport. Here the word stane, on your best, refers to the mountain's peaks. Text 23. Sushvadaryaya karsitabata sindhu pantaya sampratya pasta kamala striya ishtabartu yadvat vayumarapati pranayavalokam aprapya mushta ridaya pura karshitasma. Shushat, drying up. Ridaya, whose lakes. Karshita, shriveled up. Bata, alas. Sindhu, of the ocean. Pacha, O wives. Samprati, now. Apasita, lost. Kamala, O lotuses. Shriya, whose opulence. Ishta, beloved. Bartu, of the husband. Yadvat, just as. Vayam, we. Madhupati, of Lord Krishna, the Lord of Madhu. Pranaya, loving. Avalokam, the glance. Aprapya, not obtaining. Musta, cheated. Ridaya, whose hearts. Puru, thoroughly. Karshita, emaciated. Sma, we have become. And the verse, O rivers, wives of the ocean, your pools are now dried up. Alas, you have shriveled to nothing, and your wealth of lotuses has vanished. Are you then like us, who are withering away because of not receiving the affectionate glance of our dear husband? The Lord of Madhu, who has cheated our hearts? Purport. During the summer, the rivers do not receive downpours of water provided by their husband, the ocean, via the clouds. But the real person for the river's emaciation, as the queens see it, is that they have failed to obtain the loving glance of Lord Krishna, the reservoir of all happiness. Please, Prabhupada, Krishna and Balaram, and Radha and Shyamasunder, help me to say something that will help bring light to these verses. So we are reading now in the last chapter of the 10th canto some intimate things about the queens of Lord Krishna. Generally in the West, they think that they put what is absolute and what is relative. Whatever is absolute, that is God. Whatever is relative, that is the others. God cannot be relative. Is that true? There's kind of a riddle that explains this. What is there that poor people have? It's what rich people need, and it's what God can't do. Who knows the answer?
Too puzzling.
Nothing. If you got any one of those, because there's not, so God can be relative and personal, and he can be the absolute truth too. These are very nectarine verses given here and in the rasa dance about Krishna's pastimes. So why don't we just start with that? Why do we go through the tattva? Because it makes it more important. It's just like if I tell you yesterday, an American gentleman and an Indian gentleman took me around with them and they befriended me. Does that sound like a big deal? What if I said that they were Donald Trump and Narendra Modi? Now it becomes a big deal that someone important can do something that is very friendly. But first we have to establish the tattva. When we hear people singing songs about Krishna's pastimes or calling Radharani the Barshani Wali, it doesn't sound like it's giving great impetus to the supreme controller or the reservoir of pleasure of the absolute truth. It sounds like it's unexplained. So first, we go through what is the absolute nature of God. Because then when God has the absolute nature, but he can come and just act like a friend, a child, or a lover, it makes it more special. This is why this chapter comes after the 89th chapter, that Arjuna went with Krishna to see Mahavishnu. And Mahavishnu paid his obeisances to Krishna. And Krishna paid them back. Who do we see Krishna pay his obeisances to? So make it multiple choice. A, no one. B, Nanda and Yasoda. C, Devaki and Vasudev. D, Maharaj Yudhisthira. Or B through D, which is it? Yes, he does pay his obeisance to them. We see that Vishnu is paying his obeisances to Krishna. Who else do we read about Vishnu paying his obeisances to? No one. So if Vishnu is the supreme absolute truth, and he's paying his obeisances to Krishna, that must be special. Because Krishna pays his obeisances out of love. He lets the devotees control him. But the relationship with Vishnu may be quite different. How do we describe the relationship with God as Vishnu? This is what the first parts of Srimad Bhagavatam explain about the nature of God. starting with Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadasa Tataha Anarat Itarattaschar Arteshu Vignasvarat Tene Brahma Ridaye, that this knowledge was imparted into the heart of Brahma. And we see that God in the form of Vishnu, he has all the qualities that we have in partial, in full. And he has some special qualities we don't have. He's a supreme controller. He has all mystic potencies. He has all yogic perfections. He is changeless. He's a supreme controller. He has Satchidananda. He gives salvation to the enemies he kills. Universes come out of his body. These are some pretty fantastic things, right? That God can be so absolute. But yet God can be relative at the same time. Vishnu has all of these 50 qualities plus the extra 10. And Krishna has some special 4 extra qualities. Leela Madhuri, which is the pastimes that are full of love, that he lets the devotees forget that he's God, which develops into the Prema Madhuri, that they have this extreme love because they just love Krishna without abandon, and their relationship with him is more important than what God's position is. And Rupa Madhuri, he has an even more beautiful form than the other forms of Godhead. And Venu Madhuri, that he plays the beautiful flute. This is something that devotees always remember. Krishna has the 3 kinds of flutes. The Venu is 6 inches with 6 holes. And then there is the Murli, which is 18 inches long with 9 holes. And the Vamsi is 15 inches long. And this flute is so special. This is why when Radharani is in Kurukshetra, she tells her friend, I met my old and dear friend Krishna on the field of Kurukshetra. He is the same Krishna, and I am the same Radha, and it is very wonderful. But I still wish to be by the bank of the Yamuna River, hearing Krishna play that sweet 5th transcendental note on his flute, which shows that even with all the awe and majestic of Kurukshetra, Radharani wants to be back in this simple village surroundings. So it is important that we understand the tattva before we understand the Leela, because this is something that is difficult to understand both things together. Just like if in the old days you told someone there would be a phone that could also be a computer, they would think, what, the phone was the thing you have to dial? It dials. How can that be a computer? And what's a computer anyway? People don't believe in the things they haven't seen. The boys in Vrindavan didn't believe me in the 70s when I told them in America we have an expressway where you drive 100 kilometers an hour and they don't allow animals or cross traffic. They hadn't seen this, so they told me to admit it wasn't true. So this is why people don't believe in the chanting. They haven't tried it. If you haven't seen something or you haven't tried it, your theory is it doesn't exist. So it is very difficult to understand these. If you just understand the Leela without understanding who Krishna is, it's just a simple story about a child. And if you just understand this tattva, we don't understand this intimate nature of Krishna that not everybody gets. In the Dwapara Yuga, God comes to give us the process of deity worship. He comes 1,000 times in the day of Brahma to give this process. How many of those 1,000 times does he come as the original Krishna? And how many times is it Vishnu? Say it. And how many times is Vishnu? 999. Is that a big difference? And then, in the Kali Yuga, the Lord comes to bring us the chanting of the holy names. Generally, what is the name of that incarnation? Who can tell me? What? Say it? Did someone say Lord Chaitanya? Wrong answer. What is it? And what do they call him? There's a Swami that comes here with that name, Gaur Narayan. And one time out of 1,000, the original Krishna comes as the original Chaitanya. So it's very difficult to understand these pastimes. The very first verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, Brahma is explained. Brahma has 4 heads, and this knowledge was imparted into his heart. Tene Brahma Hridaye. And we see in this interesting pastime how Arjuna is perplexed. That here is Mahavishnu, who everything comes from him, and he's paying his obeisances to Krishna, who just appears to be a cowherd boy. This is where we talk about mortology and ontology, meaning the form and the content. With Krishna, the form may be different. He may be the big Mahavishnu, he may be a baby, but in any circumstance, in any incarnation, he is the full potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The content is the same. He came as Vamanadev. What's this child going to do with 3 steps? Well, he did a lot, didn't he? He pierced the whole universe. So underestimating God is a big mistake. So now, we think that Brahma must be able to understand this. After all, is it correct to say that Brahma is born on the stem from Mahavishnu? Is that correct? Is it? It is? Got it. It's Garbhodaksha Vishnu. Told you I had to pay attention. Mahavishnu is so important that the universe has come out from his body. Now, the scientists have an idea that's a little distracted. They think these universes come out and they expand. They think that it explodes, and a big disintegration, a big chaos, turns into the most organized thing. But we don't see such a thing happen. We find that the most organized things require the most organized and planning. Next door, they're building a building. Did they just blow it up and it comes together? You hope not. They have to have some plan. Let's say down the street, we blow up one building, and this building, you have plans and you put it together. Which one had plans and which ones didn't? So the fact that it could just blow up and become organized is not a very logical plan. We don't see such things happening. So when these universes come out, Garbhodaksha Vishnu enters into each universe, and Lord Brahma comes on his stem. Lord Brahma was perplexed by this, because Krishna does some kind of amazing things. He sort of goes back and forth. Sometimes he's God, and sometimes he's a coward boy. Logic would conclude he can't be both, right? So, of course, Krishna went out with the cowherd boys, and he'd blow his horn, and they would all go out and herd the calves. And one day that appeared that there was a big snake, and Krishna went inside, and all the demigods were perplexed. And then when the snake shut his mouth and Krishna expanded himself, Brahma's thinking, now, how is this possible? How can he expand himself so big that he chokes this snake that is 12.8 kilometers long and be a cowherd boy at the same time? So Brahma is more intelligent than the others. Why is it that he doesn't understand as much the intimate relationship with Krishna. We see this in Bhagavad Gita. I said the first word is Priya. I said, oh, that's dear. So if you find some verses where Krishna says, such a person is dear to me, pay attention to those, obviously. We get a few of those in the 12th chapter. But in the 10th verse of the 10th chapter, he says, to those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they come to me. Lord Brahma had the difficulty understanding this on his own, but in his moment of surrender, he understood. He wrote the book called the Brahma Samhita, and he says in it something about the nature of Krishna, which is kind of contradictory. Advaitam achyutam anadim anantarupam adyam puranam purusham navajovanamscha vedeshu durlabha adurlabha atma bhakto govindam adi purusham tamaham bhajami. God is Advaita, he's non-dual, achyuta, infallible, anadyam, without beginning. He is adyam puranam purusham, the oldest person in creation. So sometimes God gets painted as an old person, because if you're old, you have to look old. But Krishna is also navajovanamscha, appearing as a fresh youth. And he is difficult to understand by studying the Vedas, but easy to understand for one's devotee. That's why we were discussing yesterday, we don't try to force our way into Krishna's Leela or try to understand exactly about Krishna without Krishna's help. So when one's eyes are anointed with the pulp of love of Godhead, then he understands something about this sweetness of Krishna. That he can kill the demons, but then he goes right back to wanting to be a cowherd boy. In the 14th chapter of this 10th canto, Brahma is going on giving all the prayers to Krishna. And Krishna's going, yeah, that's nice, Brahma, but I want to get back to playing with my friends. So Krishna is showing that his relationship of love with people is more important than their position. Does Brahma seem to have a pretty good position in charge of the universe? If Krishna is more impressed with those that love him, what does that tell you? The cowherd boys are looking at him. And these verses tell us something today about how special the relationship with Krishna is, that they're afraid they're going to lose it. We'll read the first verse again. Listen to this. O sweet-throated cuckoo, in a voice that could revive the dead. This is how we're thinking of. We're separated from Krishna. We're feeling like we've died. But the cuckoo has a voice that could revive the dead. Why do they say that? Because he is vibrating the same sounds they once heard from their beloved, meaning Krishna, the most pleasing of speakers. Please tell me what I can do to please you. Then they speak to the mountains. O magnanimous mountain, you neither move nor speak. You must be pondering some matter of great importance. Or do you, like us, desire to hold on your breasts the feet of Vasudev's darling son? And the last verse again. O rivers, wives of the ocean, your pools have now dried up. Alas, you have shriveled to nothing, and your wealth of lotuses has vanished. Are you then like us, who are withering away because of not receiving the affectionate glance of our dear husband, the Lord of Madhu, who has cheated our hearts? We see that they're worried about withering away by not having Krishna's glance. That cuckoo's sound can revive them from the dead. And in separation from Krishna, like the gopis, the queens are feeling like they're going to die. This is how intense that feeling of separation is. But it's amazing because it's simultaneously a feeling of like desperation, but yet it brings Krishna even closer. Because the difference is that when we're separated from things in the material world, that may be it. There's no chance to get it back. I know when I had a child that died, that was it. There was no getting the child back. There was no trying later. There's no putting them in a better school, or when they're gone, they're gone. If someone's husband or wife leaves them or dies, they may be just gone. But when Krishna leaves, he comes back soon. The trouble is that every moment feels like 12 years or more. It's kind of like Brahma. Every moment for him is like a year. So if Brahma tells you to wait for him for a couple minutes, don't wait. So if every moment feels like 12 years or more, then it feels like a long time. But the difference is that when we've lost materially, we've lost. But we find that Pingala says that the greatest hope is giving up all hope, because then we know in our greatest point of desperation that Krishna will come to us. That's why we think sometimes the most difficult things that happen are the greatest blessing that can happen. The things that happen that make us think that I could die today. But we couldn't die today, could we? Is it possible? You're sure? It's not impossible? Many people think they'll die later. Does that postpone it? If it's time to die and you think, well, I didn't think that I was going to die, does that change it? Just like if you think something is a good idea, does that make it is? No, we have to read about the modes of material nature. No, if we're deluded, that doesn't make something a good idea. We have to see things as they actually are. So we find this, that the queens are realizing that any moment of separation from Krishna feels like a long time. We see this in the separations from Krishna. The residents of Vrindavan would get this every day. Krishna would go with the calves and go out into the field, and Mother Yasoda and the older gopis and the younger gopis would watch as they would just see the last pinches of dust, and then they knew they had to wait for Krishna to come back. But Krishna would come back. The gopis were in the rasa dance with Krishna. Seemed like it was just a night, but Krishna expanded it into a night of Brahma. Krishna can do funny things with time. Don't ask me to explain this on a blackboard. I don't have the ability to do it, and you don't have the ability to understand this. But it is explainable. That's why when Krishna expanded as the cows and cowherd boys, he explained it to the person who could understand that. Who was that? What? No. It's Balaram. Had to be someone who's not a jiva. Can you explain how Krishna expands into 16,108 wives? It is explainable, but not by us to us. So, Krishna was dancing with the gopis, and they thought, we're the most fortunate people in the world. Whenever Krishna gives us some blessing, and we think that we have it going on, something special that we are, Krishna can take it away. Krishna can take things away and bring them back in a second. I see that it's amazing how that can work. So the idea is not to despair or try to force Krishna, but just wait for his mercy. You saw that. Then Krishna left the gopis, and they're despondent. They're going mad. And they thought, oh no, we have to find Krishna. And they're wandering out, and they're asking all the trees, like the banyan and the ashok and the bale tree and the blackberries and the mangoes and champak and the tamal tree and the ashoka and the banyan trees. I may have missed a few. And they're asking the creepers and the deer, where is the son of Nanda Maharaj gone? Can you please show us where he is? Even when Krishna disguised as Narayan, oh, Narayan, the personality of Godhead, we offer our obeisance to you. Can you tell us where Krishna is gone? And then they found the footprints that Krishna was going with one other gopi. And then they found single footprints that meant that he must have put Radharani on his shoulders. And then they found Radharani hanging by the branch of a tree. At first they were envious, but then they were sorry. So we have to understand in these that when we feel any despair in this world, the real despair is that we are absent from Krishna. We may think we need more money, we need a new relationship. What's what song? I'm looking for a new love. And that always helps them, right? No, it doesn't. I remember I thought that in 1960, my mother took me to that movie called The Bells Are Ringing. And Dean Martin sang the song about the woman that the losing dice are tossed, my bridges all were crossed, nowhere to go, never a doubt or fear, I found you just in time. I think that's it, that applies to a woman. But this song does not apply to a woman. It has to apply to Krishna. Because if everything is gone, is a man or a woman going to help? Or is that person who is the supreme controller and also the most loving going to help them, right? Is it not true? Just like you go to mail a letter and you put it in the trash. Oh, it's a box, isn't it? We have to give our love to the right place. So when we feel the greatest despair, when things really go wrong, when things are difficult, when we feel like we could die at any moment, of course that couldn't be today, right? It could be. Walk outside the building and get hit by a driver, right? Do you see the rickshaws that drive safely? Anybody seen that? No. You see them drive around in the dark, they don't use a signal. They say you just have to chant so that when they hit you, you go back to Godhead, because only Krishna's mercy can protect you. So we see that one other problem with the wives of Krishna, sometimes they hear Krishna at night talking about Vrindavan and how he wants to be back with the gopis and with Radharani. And they know that as much as he's by their side, because Krishna is the most beautiful and the most wealthy and the most loving, but he's also the most renounced. He doesn't need you. Say, okay, Krishna, I'll make you a deal. If you do this for me, I'll do that for you. Like Krishna needs it, right? Krishna needs from us? No, he doesn't. We need Krishna. And so they're worried that he wants to go back to this Vrindavan. And so they're worried about losing Krishna. And we should think in the same way, that we should be careful. Just like last Sunday on the parikrama, I thought I better put my glasses away. I looked down and I fell into this big hole, and I got cuts and bruises that still needed to be attended to. And the good part was in 1 second, 10 people pulled me out. And so it showed me that there's danger at every step, especially that one. But that Krishna can send people to rescue me in a second. And that's the purport. No matter how much danger we get in, Krishna can rescue us if we depend on him. And no matter how much we depend on our own, that is why sometimes the little problems destroy us, because we're so worried about just getting everything to work according to our little plans that it frustrates us and we end up doing something stupid. Whereas the big things, we know that when we're about to die, that we better depend on Krishna. There's no other avenue. But it's that way at any point. And the queens are saying this to that cuckoo, that your sound is bringing us back to life. We hear that Dinabandhu was talking about the different birds. You hear them here and you hear them in Mayapur. The one, I can't make the bird sounds as well as him, but I think it's the osprey that goes, woo-woo, 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 woo-woo. It gets more and more desperate. It's like, Krishna, where are you? Krishna, where are you? And we realize that if 1 second away from Krishna is a long time, the fact that we're feeling some despair instead of thinking we got it all going on. So many people think they have it all going on, and then things can things go wrong? There's a lot of evidence to appear that if you think you have everything happening materially, it can all go wrong. But we can read in these pastimes here that as great as Mahavishnu is, that Krishna is perfect in Mathura. And he's more perfect in the Dwarka. But then what's hard to believe after we read about Krishna spraying the syringe of water on the queens, and the queens splashing him, and they're in such loving ecstasy in the ponds, that there's something even more perfect. There's something even most perfect, more perfect than more perfect. How is that possible? That's difficult to explain, isn't it? But it is possible that in Vrindavan, it's the most perfect and the most pleasing. Because here, Krishna lets them forget that he's God. You see in the pastimes, when they need to know that he's God, and when they need him to he's God, he is. But when he's not, they go back to their loving relationship. Mother Yasoda was told Krishna's eating dirt. She said, open your mouth. He opens his mouth, and she saw a few things in there. Well, she saw everything. She saw the whole universe within Krishna's mouth, and even her standing there, and she's realizing, my child is God. But then she thinks the most important part is he's my child and my relationship with him. So this tells us things that, like, no matter how important we think we are, we're nothing. And we need to just depend on Krishna's mercy. And how important we think we are, what family you think we're born in, or how much money we have, or how many people know who we are, that we're famous, that this is going to impress Krishna. But if we have very little, and we just want to serve Krishna in whatever capacity we can, then Krishna takes notice of us. And this is something we can all do. We may not be able to be multi-billionaires. We may not be able to exceed in any kind of sport. There may be many things we can't do. But it's not like there's one Christian group that says only 144,000 people make it into heaven. But the Vaikunthas and the Krishna Loka are unlimited. And we don't have to stop someone else getting there for us to get in. And it's based on us wanting to serve according to our capacity. We take solace in the verse in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says that he preserves what we have and he carries what we lack. So even if we lack a lot, but we endeavor carefully for Krishna, Krishna is capable of helping us. And this feeling of desperation to want Krishna's association, it is the most painful and most pleasurable thing at the same time. Any questions, comments, or corrections? I'm glad you picked up the ones about Brahma not being born on the stem from Mahavishnu.
When Prahlad Maharaj is glorifying Lord Nrsimhadev,
Yes.
they were speaking about the Bhajananandi and Goshtianandi, that there are saints who want to do their meditation and do their tapasya and do their self-realization on their own. But Prahlad Maharaj is expressing his desire to serve his guru and feeling pain for the fallen conditioned souls. And it seems that's like maybe a underlying prerequisite for advancement, that you have to actually see the compassion or feeling the pain of others in wanting to spread Krishna consciousness.
Some of the people think, which do we do, work on ourselves or help others? But you know, the best book distributors start out by going to the Mangal Artik, having a good sadhana, and then they do is like we talked about Priya. Krishna says that one who is not envious but a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor, and who is free from false ego, is equal in happiness and distress, that he is very dear to me. So by practicing our sadhana and our devotion, together with trying to help other people understand it, is the best combination. If we think we'll just go out and sell books but not do any chanting, or I'll just chant for myself but not do any preaching. So sometimes we come for periods, like I come here a while and I work on doing reading and extra chanting, and then I go to places where I can bring something to others. And working it in a way that, as Krishna explains, one who is a kind friend to all living entities. We find that, like I asked Vaisheshika, I said, boy, these people here seem to love you. He says, because I love them. When we develop the love for Krishna, we develop love for others, and we're thinking, how can I share something nice with others? And we bring them into a special family. This is why in the West I tell people, stay at the Sunday Feast program, because it's something where you can accomplish many things. You get close to Krishna, you can meet new friends who you make them interested in Krishna and help them along. And so it has to go together. If we just think I'll go and instruct people without advancing ourselves, or if we just think I'll keep it to myself, it's an incomplete picture. So we always have to be thinking of what we can do. And if we have places we can go, or we can do it here. And everyone in the Bhakti Vriksha, they say that each one teaches one while being taught by one. Maybe someone like, one time a couple years back, Panchagoda got the verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita where the 10 major points of Srimad Bhagavatam are discussed. So maybe you can do that with people, or maybe you can just show them when the temple opens where the deities are and what the mantra is, and give them a book. So what you can do to bring people to Krishna may be different in different capacities, but everybody can do something. You don't have to be able to explain the 10 major points of Srimad Bhagavatam. You just let people know that you're there to help them, and that goes a long ways. Is that all right?
Thank you.
But we always have to keep ourselves available for when people need us, and let people know.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
I just need to know what happened to the Nand Maharaj and Yashoda Maiya when Krishna went to Dwarika. Did they accompany Krishna, or they stayed back here? And when did they leave the world, before Krishna or after Krishna?
A lot of crying, a lot of desperation. We read about it, what happened. And it's heart-wrenching when Krishna talks to both Nanda and Yasoda and Vasudeva and Devaki and talks to them. We read that after. I call it the story of when the government was changed in Mathura. That's when Krishna killed Kamsa, right? That's the story of the government getting changed in Mathura. And once Krishna jumped up and smacked Kamsa and killed him, then Ugrasena was put in charge, and that was the government getting changed in Mathura. So we can read about it in those chapters. We read about how Akrura took Krishna to Vrindavan, or from Vrindavan, and we see that the gopis really were in despair when that happened. And Akrura, Akrura is sort of a complicated character, isn't he? He was sent by Kamsa, but he's beloved by Krishna, and he's hated by the gopis, and then he got in trouble later with the Shamantaka jewel. But you'll have to look into those stories. Anything else? Yes?
It it seems that a certain amount of faith has to be there to believe these stories and the extent of a spiritual world and Lord Brahma with 4 heads and Mahavishnu just by breathing, emanating unlimited universes. So how do some people have faith and they actually move forward to try the process of hearing and chanting, and some people think it's just a complete imaginary fairy tale?
Well, it's like Prabhupada says, you can't speculate on the taste of the honey by licking the outside or talk. You actually have to taste it. That's why Prabhupada says we don't argue that ours is better. We say, come and watch what we do. Come and take part. So when we take a step to Krishna, he takes 10 to us. You see this, when we ask Krishna for guidance, he gives it. That's a sure idea that something is there, right? It's like you go on the computer and you put something in Google and it gives you an answer. But if you never had a computer and you don't believe it and you don't try it, of course it doesn't exist. If someone isn't willing to do a little bit of experiment, take off the jar and taste the honey inside, they have to be willing to do an experiment. People feel a difference by chanting. And if you don't try it, you won't know the difference. So there has to be, Prabhupada says that faith is unflinching trust in something sublime. But when things happen and Krishna gives us things, and when he gives us a point to take that leap and we take it, sometimes Krishna puts us in that.
It seems that many of the early devotees were so attached and in love with Prabhupada that just by Prabhupada's presence, they gained confidence, or they were actually just mesmerized by the spiritual, loving nature of Prabhupada, that they were just, they dedicated themselves to the person. So how important is it for the guru and the guru parampara?
Well, it's like Krishna mentions the Tattva Darshan in the 2nd chapter, 16th verse, and the 4th chapter, 34th verse, that the person who's seen the truth. So if you meet such a person, they're talking about the absolute truth that they've actually seen, not just an idea or a speculation. And certainly that means a lot, doesn't it? If they actually see Krishna, and you see that this process is working for them, then it makes sense. And we saw that in Prabhupada, because he had that kind of devotion. We were willing to do things because he would do that for us. When we were in trouble, he would send people to help out. As busy as he was, he would do that. So it behooves us to find people who are following Prabhupada and have some knowledge of Krishna and try to get some of that from them. That's why I'm not very good at the sport cricket. I've never met anybody who could train me in it. Right? So I have no idea. So it's the same way. If you meet someone who's good at something, my friend went to Spain to meet Andres Segovia, the best Spanish guitarist ever, and he became a famous guitarist. So if you meet anyone who's good at something and you dedicate to them, you're going to become good. So how much better if you meet someone who loves God and knows God and learn from them how to love God and meet God, how much more is your chance of success? We may not be much, but boy, we're connected to the right people, aren't we? Does that mean everything? Yes?
Read Prabhupada's books.
Yes. That's why we have them. They're supposed to, we read them and we see them. That I realized that when I would do the Mangalartik and I would hear Prabhupada translate the 7th canto through the wall, I got to hear all of it. But now all of you can read the whole thing without having to hear it through the wall. It's available for everyone. And then when you're connected to the right place, it doesn't matter we're not that important, isn't it? That's it, it's who you're connected to, especially someone that's directly connected to Krishna. Imagine that. You're connected to someone who's rich and famous and strong. That's a good thing. But how about someone who has all strength, all wealth, all intelligence, and you're connected to someone who knows that person well? Then they're Priya, and you also become Priya. So read those verses in the 12th chapter about how to become dear to Krishna. And it starts with being the kind friend, which is helping people come to Krishna consciousness, finding out what's going on with them so you can bring Krishna consciousness to them as a solution. Anything more? Shall we end there? Thank you for all of your participation and the wonderful questions. Hare Krishna.
Kshudy Prabhupada ki jai. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.